Welcome, Traveler Time. You've entered a realm where kings rise, empires fall, and every crown carries a curse. Today, we journey through the life of one of history's most fascinating monarchs, where love, power, and destiny intertwine. Richard, later immortalized as Coeur Lion, the Lionheart, was born on September 8, 1157, in Oxford, England. As the third son of King Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine, Richard was not initially destined to inherit the throne, yet the fates had etched a path of legend for him. From his mother, he inherited culture, refinement, and fiery independence. From his father, ambition, political acumen, and the merciless nature of power. His childhood, set against the turbulent backdrop of Henry II's sprawling empire, exposed him early to both the splendor and cruelty of kingship. Even as a boy, Richard displayed uncommon strength, intelligence, and charisma. His mother nurtured his love of poetry, music, and the arts, instilling in him the grace of courtly culture. Yet his true spirit, the heart of a warrior, was evident in the training grounds, in the military exercises that would soon shape him into a commander unmatched in his age. Rebellions and conflicts among Henry II's sons taught Richard the harsh lessons of loyalty and betrayal. Family bonds, he learned, were often as treacherous as foreign enemies. In his adolescence, Richard led forces in Aquitaine, demonstrating strategic brilliance that earned both fear and respect. Even his father, a masterful king and shrewd tactician, recognized Richard's prowess, though wary of the young prince's ambition. These early campaigns were not merely trials of strength, but tests of leadership, diplomacy, and vision. Richard learned to command armies, navigate political intrigue, and assert authority over a fractious nobility, skills that would define his reign. Richard's education complemented his martial training. Well-versed in Latin, history, and the epic tales of Charlemagne and the troubadours, he fused intellect with courage, culture with combat. He understood that kingship required legend as much as strategy, and he sought to live a life worthy of songs and chronicles. By the death of Henry II in 1189, Richard had already earned a reputation as a force of destiny, a prince whose ambition and skill would shape the fate of England and the Angevin Empire. Ascending the throne, Richard faced a kingdom strained by taxes and political unrest. Yet his heart yearned not for administration, but for crusade. The Third Crusade called him to Jerusalem, where his legacy would be forged in fire and sand. Funding his expedition through extraordinary levies, sales of offices, and pledges of revenue, Richard declared that even London could be sold to pursue his sacred mission. Thus began his Odyssey, a journey of war, strategy, and legend, leading through the Mediterranean, Cyprus, and ultimately the Holy Land. The deserts of the Levant awaited Richard with trials and glory alike. At Acre, he led a relentless siege against well-fortified walls, inspiring men with unmatched courage and tactical brilliance. His actions transformed the siege into a testament to both martial genius and personal charisma, with soldiers, knights, and nobles rallying to his command. Yet, diplomacy was as essential as warfare. His alliance with King Philip II of France was fragile, marred by jealousy and mistrust, requiring Richard to navigate both military and political challenges with precision. Richard's encounters with Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, became legendary. At battles such as Arsuf, he charged at the forefront of his army, embodying courage itself, while respecting his noble adversary. Despite the failure to capture Jerusalem, his leadership, bravery, and ethical conduct in war earned him admiration from friend and foe alike. Richard balanced unflinching martial action with strategic negotiation, demonstrating an understanding that true conquest required both strength and wisdom. Throughout his crusading campaigns, Richard's personal life remained largely in the shadow of war. His marriage to Berengaria of Navarre was political, his devotion reserved for ideals of chivalry and honor. Nevertheless, loyalty and friendship were paramount to him, guiding his interactions with generals, nobles, and soldiers. Even in the face of hardship, disease, and near-death experiences, Richard inspired his men through example, reinforcing the Lionheart's growing legend across Europe. Richard's truce with Saladin allowed Christian pilgrims access to Jerusalem, demonstrating his pragmatism and recognition of limits. The journey home, however, proved perilous. Captured by Duke Leopold of Austria, Richard's freedom was held hostage by European politics. His ransom, one of the largest ever demanded, was paid by England, revealing the deep loyalty his legend commanded among his subjects. Even in captivity, Richard's persona as a commanding, indomitable king persisted, cementing his myth for generations. Upon his return, Richard's focus turned to the Angevin Empire and the perennial threat of Philip II. Normandy, Aquitaine, and Anjou required both defense and assertion of authority. Richard's campaigns combined rapid, decisive action with sophisticated strategy, balancing battlefield daring with the art of negotiation. Castles were captured through siegecraft and tactical brilliance. Alliances forged and managed with care. Enemies subdued without surrendering honor. Richard's personal relationships mirrored the complexities of his political life. He valued loyalty above all, rewarding courage and fidelity while punishing treachery. His men revered him, yet the burdens of taxation and war fueled unrest among his subjects, particularly in England. Meanwhile, his brother John plotted, exploiting absences and vulnerabilities. These tensions highlighted the duality of kingship, glory and legend intertwined with responsibility and potential instability. The campaigns of the late 1190s in France tested Richard's endurance and brilliance. Despite overwhelming pressure, he remained undaunted, exemplifying the ideals of chivalry and leadership. Even small skirmishes and sieges became stages upon which his courage and tactical mind shone. Yet the human cost of war, disease, injury, and exhaustion weighed heavily upon his army and kingdom. Richard's life became a delicate balance between pursuit of glory and management of reality, illustrating the immense demands placed upon a king who lived as a warrior. Richard's final campaigns demonstrated both his indomitable spirit and the vulnerability inherent in mortal life. Siege after siege, battle after battle, revealed the precision and daring that had defined his reign. He navigated shifting alliances, political intrigue, and personal betrayals with a combination of audacity and foresight. His leadership inspired both respect and fear, ensuring the Lionheart's dominance over territories despite constant challenges. In 1199, during the siege of Calas-Chabrol, Richard faced mortal danger. Struck by a crossbow bolt, the Lionheart confronted death with grace and chivalry, forgiving the archer who had wounded him. His final days were defined by reflection, loyalty to his followers, and contemplation of a life dedicated to honor and courage. His death marked the end of an era, a reign defined more by action and legend than by governance alone. Richard's passing revealed both his achievements and the vulnerabilities of a kingdom dependent on a single, extraordinary individual. John, ever opportunistic, moved to exploit gaps in leadership. England and the Angevin territories faced uncertainty. Yet Richard's myth remained untarnished, celebrated in chronicles, songs, and legend that immortalized the Lionheart as a symbol of bravery, strategy, and chivalric ideals. Richard's legacy extends far beyond the campaigns he led or the territories he controlled. His life exemplified the medieval ideal of kingship as both warrior and leader, intertwining courage, ambition, and the pursuit of honor. He remains a figure of fascination not merely for the battles he fought, but for the legend he created, a man whose name evokes images of valor, chivalry, and indomitable will. The Lionheart's impact influenced subsequent generations of knights, kings, and chroniclers. His actions shaped European politics, inspired literary works, and solidified the archetype of the crusading hero. Yet his story also serves as a cautionary tale. The relentless pursuit of glory can strain kingdoms, fracture families, and leave long-term consequences for those left to manage the legacy. Richard's heart, interred in Rouen, and his body at Fontevraud Abbey symbolize the enduring mystique of a king who lived for battle, yet inspired loyalty, honor, and admiration. His legend persists, a testament to the human desire to rise above circumstance, confront destiny, and achieve immortality through deeds and courage. Remember to like and subscribe to explore more enthralling stories where power meets destiny, and every crown carries a curse.